I'm going to be doing some DuraCoat and done a couple of guns. This will be the fourth gun that I've done. I have had quite a good bit of success. It's AUG green. So yeah, gonna be a lot of people out there say, "Oh, that sucks. I coated my gun and it scratched all up, and it didn't work. It peeled off." I'm here to tell you, if you do it right, you don't have any of those problems. And so the instructions say, prep your metal, clean it with the True stripper right here. It comes, I bought the kit with the True stripper, and I also bought the adjustable nozzle to go with it, so you can adjust your flow a little bit better. But the instructions say clean it with the True Strip, get all the grime off of it, then scuff it using the enclosed scrubby pad, and sand with plastic parts of 406 grit sandpaper. I'm not coating any plastic, mine's going to be all metal, so we're not going to need sand, we're just going to scuff it up. And you know, the normal shake can for 3 minutes, puncture the little thing in the bottom of it with a little cap on the top, and apply an even coat and all that, and let it dry for 5 minutes till it flashes over. It doesn't say flash over, but when you see it flash over, to go from like a wet look to a dry look, you're about ready to do it. And then it says hang your parts, dry overnight, reassemble, light use can be done the next day. And this is the key point right here. Once fully cured. So what is the fully cure time? It doesn't tell you anywhere on the can anywhere how long it takes to cure. It doesn't say anywhere on here, but if you go look on their website and you poke around, you find out that it actually says 15 to 30 days depending on weather, temperature, and everything. So basically you're gonna have to wait a couple of weeks after you spray your gun before you start to use it. It says you can put it back together, but in my experience you probably should not. You should just let it cure. You're gonna end up with a better job if you let it cure and harden for 2 to 3 weeks, and then you're not going to have any issues with it chipping or scratching. That is if, however, or that is if you cleaned it properly in the first place. So normally what I do is I disassemble down to the parts I'm going to do, and I scrub them in the sink with Dawn dishwashing liquid. Scrub them down, rub every bit of oil off of them, clean everything, and then I blow them off with an air compressor. And I do this more than once. At least twice I'll wash them completely down. Get an old toothbrush, scrubbing every crevice and corner and everything, and then wear a pair of rubber gloves, you know, when you're done, so you don't get oil on them from your hands. And then before I go to paint them, after I've taped them, I will use the True Stripper and spray this on. I'll do this maybe 2 or 3 times and wipe them off, you know, wearing a pair of rubber gloves while I'm doing it, and make sure I clean them until my rag, one of these little blue rags I like to use a lot of, come up completely clean. In other words, nothing on it. If you spray it with this stuff and then you wipe it down and you got black stuff on your rag, you got to do it again. That's why I wash it 2 times with soap and water, Dawn dishwashing liquid, usually in the sink before I get started. And I usually do that before I tape it all up, and then I'll tape up everything I don't want to paint, and then I'll do the stripper one last time. And once you've got it like super duper clean, you know, then you can hit it with the little scrubby pad real quick and scuff it around, or you could have done that before if you wanted to. But the last thing you always do is strip it one last time with a pair of rubber gloves on and wipe it down and make sure the rag comes off clean. And once you do all that stuff, you're pretty much gonna have a good paint job, in my opinion. You know, as long as you don't get a lot of runs. I usually do 3 coats. 1 coat may have some spots that still don't coat. I let it flash over and dry for 15 minutes or so, and then I spray a 2nd coat on it and then a 3rd coat on it, and then I let it dry. And you'll notice when you paint them, and I'll video my paint job, that places like this here, where where the words are, that they'll be like filled in and level, and you're like, oh man, I can't read them. If you just wait for it, it'll actually dry and sink into those things afterwards. So in other words, as it dries and cures, the paint will suck down into those, and it'll look perfect. On all the guns that I've done, that's been the case. I've not really had any issues. You know, clean it really good, and then paint it or spray it with the DuraCoat, and then you gotta wait. So when you're done, you leave it hanging with all your tape on it, and just don't touch it for a week or more at least. After about a week, I'll pull it down and I'll take my tape off of it and everything and look at it, but then I'll set it aside and I'll let it cure for another 2 weeks before I even attempt to assemble it. And as I said, this will be the 4th firearm that I've done. I've done 3 shotguns, and I've not had any problems with any of them. And these are turkey hunting shotguns that I throw around, lean against stuff in the woods, got to jump across the ditch, chunk it over there, jump across the ditch, it falls, you lean it up against a tree, it falls on the ground, riding in the back of the truck, all different manner of things I've done to those guns, and the finish has held up well. And I truly believe that that's cleaning, number 1, cleaning, number 2, waiting the cure time. And if you do both of those things, then you're going to be good to go. And that's what $75 gets you, a little bit of your time. If you want to go pay and have something Cerakoted, I got stuff that's been Cerakoted too, and I don't believe that the finish, if you clean it and dry it, and clean it and wait properly, that the Cerakote is in any better finish than the DuraCoat, in my personal opinion. So without further ado, I'm going to disassemble this gun. I'm going to strip it all the way down to the frame. I'm going to take all the pieces apart. I'm actually going to pull the little the safety spring tube. I'm actually going to get in there with a grinder and grind it out, and I'm going to replace it and put a new one in. You can't really tell, but I used a tool to install it, but it's got a little bit of a light gap underneath of it, and was never completely happy with it. So instead of painting it with everything else, I'm going to replace that part, and then I'll stake it in there with the tool that I have, and I'll push the sights out and all that good stuff, and take every other little single piece apart of it. So we'll do a high-speed disassembly when you watch it. That's not what this is about disassembling. It's about doing the DuraCoat, and I'll paint the DuraCoat on it, and then we'll revisit it and put it back together. I'll wait until I'm completely done 3 weeks later, and then we'll put it together, but I'm going to disassemble it now. Alright, now I'm trying to decide whether I'm really going to take this off or not, or if I'm just going to paint over it. I'm not going to take the ejector off because I'm not painting any of this area anyway. So it'll just get taped and covered. For the frame, I'm going to paint, you know, the outer areas of it in the back and up here, but down inside of here I'm not going to paint any of that. Basically from like right here up, I won't paint. I won't paint right here, and I won't even paint right there. None of this stuff here will I paint. It'll be from here down. And I won't paint inside of here. I'll tape in here and trim the tape off, and of course none of that. What I might do is yeah, I'll just stick a little bit of tape inside there and cover them up. I actually have some extras of those because I tore up one of them on accident. Well, not on accident, but you know, on purpose accident. Yep, I'm gonna take it off. Because originally when I put this on here, I didn't have a tool, and I tried to put it on without a tool, and I used some wood inside of it, and that wood got jammed in there, and I ended up having to use a drill bit to get it cleaned out, and that may be why my spring here sticks so far out when it should only be out, you know, a little less distance, because I may have increased the length of the hole. So I'm going to take that off of there. It's the next day. My camera died off on me last night, but I finished up the taping job, the places that I didn't want to get painted. I took off the spring tube for the safety and the slide release. I put these back in here so I don't have to mess with the tape because I got replacements for them. I got another set. Because like I said, I boogered one of them up and I want to replace them. For the most part, everything's ready to go. Last thing will be, I'm going to actually hang it up like this. I'm going to stick this in here and I'll be able to hang it and keep it away from it a little bit. I can rotate it around a little bit. I can pick it up and mess with it and do that and whatnot. So that's how I'm going to do it. And the last thing I'll do is I'll put some rubber gloves on. I've already scuffed it up a little bit as best I could. I got a couple of spots I got to hit with the pad right before I paint it, but I'll put a pair of gloves on and I will spray it with the stripper, the True Strip stuff, and wipe it off. I've already sprayed it with the True Strip stuff a couple of times, so it's pretty clean. It won't take but one spray to get it done, and then I'll shoot this with some paint. So on now, next up is I'm gonna tape up the slide. I think inside of here I'm just gonna the bolt face, basically I'm gonna go top to bottom with it, and I'm gonna lay some tape in here, and I'm gonna come up around this edge right here and around inside of here. I'll probably get a little bit of over paint, probably more. I don't really want to mess up. I don't think it'll hurt none. The bolt will either go over the paint or it'll wear the paint off, one of the two. Either which way, I don't care. Up inside of here, I'm probably going to paint to like this edge right here up and up to here as well. So, and then back here I'll cover the inside areas. Well, no, I'll just cover this face right here. I'll slip a piece of tape up in here, and then I'll put some blue towel inside of here and trim it off, and then tape up around in here, up here. I'm gonna paint this whole bottom edge of this, and if the slide doesn't, it gets a little frictiony, then I'll come back in here and I'll make me a little sanding piece, and I'll sand it. I don't think it's gonna be a problem because I taped the other side. This side will have some paint and this side, other side won't. I think I'll be alright. Other than that, I think I'm ready to paint or ready to tape. Alright, here we go. Alright, I've taped them up to my satisfaction. Put me a little hook on this one, and got a hook on this one. Now I am going to shake my can up. For 3 or 4 minutes. Before I do that though, I'm gonna round up a couple other things to paint, because this ain't gonna use the whole can. And remember, once you popped it with the plug, it ain't no good after a day or so. So I'm gonna round up a couple other things that I want to paint at the same time I paint these. So let's do that.